Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl, back again for another a Black History Month movie spoiler review. And we'll be talking about this, didn't even know it was a Disney movie until recently. Cool Cool Runnings. Yeah, I haven't seen this since I was a kid, honestly. It's been so long since I seen this, and it's definitely like a throwback with the outfits. Definitely something I would have worn as a little kid, during the 90s. The movie was released in October 1st in 1993, so I was fairly young and still wearing like these like very bright colors. And it's like, wow, man, I used to remember dressing something like that as a little boy. At least my father dressing me something like that as a kid with like overalls or something like that. But yeah, man, this movie starring John Candy, the late great John Candy, Leon Robinson, Dougie Doug, Raul D. Lewis, John Candy playing as Irving Blitzer, Leon Robinson as Darius Bennick, Dougie Doug as Sanka Coffee, Raul D. Lewis as Junior Beville, and Malik Yaba as Yul Brenner. And yeah, this pretty much loosely based off of the 1988 Jamaican Olympic bobsled team. That's why I personally chose this as part of the uh, movie selection for the month of Black History Month. And wow, this was like a famous moment during the time I was just like a few months, probably. Well, it was like during like the Winter Olympics, so I was probably still in my mother's stomach at the time, and because I wasn't born until April, so at least a couple of months prior to my birth, this was like a huge deal. Where this Jamaican bobsled team uh was like it was a pretty much like a national news thing. Of course, this is like one of those iconic sports movies to this day, but also specifically iconic black film of this Jamaican team that kind of like really like one of those people that kind of like shattered that glass ceiling that kind of held a lot of black people back. And I didn't even, I might have noticed, but I really didn't really uh, lay too much focus on it to where it's like it's a Disney film, but you still get little subtle hints that it's the 80s, even though the 80s was like, turning like a slight corner into like a progressive direction, but you still get subtle hints with a bit of like racism. And there's like a certain part where like this other bobsled team from Germany, this is German, so you would think like they should know better how to behave. Not the saying like they better behave kind of thing, but just like it's only like a good 40 years after the events of World War II. You would think they'd be on their P's and Q's on how to like act, around people. Because if a German's acting too aggressive in like certain settings, at least maybe back then, I'm not sure how in that mindset, it's like you're still like old folks at that time might give like certain German people side eyes, given the fact that it's just in my mind's eye. I'm thinking like, okay, y'all. I'm pretty sure your parents or your grandparents was part of that little thing in like during WW2 and 40 years prior. So you kind of want to like ease up a bit with your racism, German. But and I like the whole line. I want to say it now before I end up forgetting if I gloss over it, where it's like they say something snotty early on in the competition, and like Junior mentions like, oh, what is that problem? And then you hear Yule mentions like like a offhanded comment. It's like you know they don't like anybody that's different or something to that effect. And it's like, it was like, wow, this is like, because it's Disney-fied, but it's like, he still want to like, put it out there. There's still like some stuff that even in 1988 it was still like dealing with. So anyway, the movie begins when you're introduced to Darius Bennett, who's been trains to qualify for the 100 meters Olympic sport for the 1988 Summer Olympics. And you also get to meet, Junior and Yule, who's trying to qualify as well. But thanks to Junior, it causes him and the other two to stumble, which kind of disqualifies Darius, who's been dreaming of joining the Olympics for the run specifically all his life, just like his father was part of the Olympics as well during the 70s, and his late father. And because of the whole situation, the director who's the Jamaican director who's like dealing with who deals with the whole qualifying and bringing setting up the whole team for as part of the Olympics to represent Jamaica, and not wanting to wait 4 years for another try, he decides, okay, we'll try something else. And like the other options wasn't good enough because he's like still like a runner. He's not good at boxing, or there's another sport the commissioner mentioned, but he wasn't feeling. But then he takes notice to like a picture on the wall of a guy who's taking a picture with his father, and he was like a bobsled gold medalist. And he goes to meet Irving, who is played by John Candy. Obviously, he's like now he's like a book. He's a disgraced Olympian who you learn later he cheated and had his gold medals taken away because of that. Completely disgracing USA during the 70s. Not sure that part is true. It might be, like I said, it's loosely based on it, so in some parts of it might be true. Darius, and his buddy Sanka, played by Dougie Doug, kept bugging this guy. He's like, "Hey, give us a shot. Help us, teach us, coach us for the bobsled thing, so we can participate." Because that's at least not Sanka. Mostly he's there for his as like his wingman, his buddy's partners, their friends. In their words, like through a heap of trouble, and with some funny convincing, kept bursting in on Irv, who's trying to like take a dump and is like just popping up in his own bathroom, not his own bathroom, but just like in a bathroom stall, and finally convinces them, because once he told Irving who his father is, and given the fact that how he has so much respect for Darius' father, he decided, okay, I will coach you for the bobsled thing, because it's the only thing that allows him to do his running, but he also want to just be a part of the Olympics. So then you meet the other teammates, given the fact that there's like a funny little moment where a bunch of Jamaican people who wants to participate, or at least try out, is shown this video reel of what bobsled is. Because living in Jamaica, where it's like crazy hot all the time, and this is what they're used to, they never had experienced things like snow before, and like cold weather. Now later on, you see like the temperature, because during this time, the Olympics was held in Canada, and the in the movie it said the temperature was like negative 25 degrees, which is like negative BS degrees. But realistically, upon research, it wasn't that cold. It was fairly mild at the time. Like at least like it was cold, but not that cold. It was like mild enough where it is brisk. It's like 16 degrees. It wasn't even in the negatives like that. But it was played for laughs because they Jamaica's never experienced cold weather before. It was like a funny moment where it's like he had Sanka in one of the ice cream trucks, and he's like completely freezing his dreadlocks off because like one of his locks kind of breaks off. I remember that. I vividly. I don't know why that always stuck with me as a kid. I remember the trailer to this as a kid, to where he kind of like breaks off his lock, and I never maybe I don't recall the context, but it's just like that scene alone just kind of stuck with me as a trailer. But after Irv goes over that there is some danger to this, just like almost in any sport, that one or two wrong moves can cause like the bobsled to crash, because like the friction involved allowing the bobsled to move the way it does, even in like the cold, it can be very dangerous. And some people, like as he mentions, you don't break bones, you would more than likely shatter your bones. And like as soon as you turn on the lights, it's only like Sanka and Darius, but later you'll see Yul and Junior walk in. Let me go over with the about these two that I kind of like, I want to say annoyed with, but it's kind of like it's kind of solved with Junior, but like Yul is like kind of like I never like, I thought maybe like because I remember he always had like a bug up his ass, but now that I'm older and rewatching this, I figure, okay, maybe there's some hidden thing or like a theme to him, or at least like a character arc to this guy that I probably did not pay attention to as a little kid, that I'll probably understand the nuance of it now. Rewatching this, no, because he, throughout this entire film, well, he softens up, but you never understood what. You kind of understood why, but it's never like explained why he has to be like. Because he wants to get out of Jamaica. He wants to just travel, I guess. But but he wants to be a part of the Olympics, so he can travel and be outside of the islands and just want to, I guess, experience the world, something to that effect. But you never explain why he is so eager to get out. I mean, maybe because like during life at that time in Jamaica is rough. Maybe to this day it's still rough in certain areas. But I guess it kind of caused him to be kind of like very like kind of hard exterior. But he's kind of like bullyish, where it's like, don't touch me, like don't look at me, boy. And it's like this is like keep that boy away from me. Like, don't touch me. And it's like, dude, fucking relax. It's like, getting people's face. And it's like, and then, I don't know if it was like a 90s thing, but as like, Irving was looking upon what he had left to make a bobsled team, because he need 4 people, Yul does his move where it's like, because it's a very 90s thing. It was like this, like, and it's like, dude, this is the 90s. Okay, maybe it was cool then, but like looking back on it now in 2022 eyes, even hell, if it was 2005 looking back on it, it's like, God, it's look dumb as hell. Uh, but it's like that attitude is just it's never explained fully. It's like it's like if we would have saw like maybe like certain hardships, or even he explained that, you know, I don't know, grew up, you know, on the streets without any family. I had to be tough in order to deal with things. Maybe it's something to the effect, if he would have explained that, might, you know, improve a bit on my mindset of this character, because it just seems like an ass just for the sake of being an ass, for an ass. And it's like, you know, even with like Sanka, it seems like he doesn't go through any kind of arc in of himself either. Yeah, like these two, Yul and Sanka doesn't seem like go through an arc. Like Sanka's just there, just like my friend needed me, so I'm here, and it's like, I guess it's don't need any kind of like little arcs for everybody, but it's like, if that part would have been fine if you're trying to make some kind of character defining thing for Yul, you gotta explain why he's like that. Cause just, you know, can't just be an asshole for the sake of being an asshole, or at least maybe like act like a bully for the sake of being a bully. But then you got Junior, who is like a nebbish kind of like, he's Carlton Banks pretty much, but even like a less assured Carlton Banks of the time. And he's got like father issues, where it's like, you know, his father, you know, worked his butt up from the ground up into a very wealthy man, living in Kingston, and he's trying to force like a job on his son, and his father doesn't want, his son doesn't do that. He wants to be an Olympian, and which is relatable. It's like there's certain parents that, you know, take it too far with like making sure that their kid is, you know, just trying to be 100% sure that my kid is going to be well taken care of. And like, I'm going to make sure he, you know, he has his job that pays well, that's give him security and all this other stuff. But it doesn't align half the time with certain children, because they have their own lives or dreams that they want to do. And you're pushing it, you know, what their needs are to the side for the sake of security. And, you know, that really doesn't work like that with a lot of people in general. But you can see where the fathers come from, because his father just want to make sure his kid is taken care of. It's like, because he doesn't think his kid can take care of himself. So you're trying to add on kind of contingencies to make sure even long after he's gone, his kid's going to be fine. But, you know, this kind of in a way, make it feels like Junior's adulthood is kind of stunted in a way. Because like I said, he's behaving like Carlton Banks in a way, like early Carlton Banks. But you see a nice little arc with him where he finally like stands up to his father, pretty much like, hey, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but it's just like, hey, I'm not coming home with you. I'm here with my team. I'm going to compete, and this is my dream. And it's like, thanks to Yul's encouraging, because like another scene with these two, because it's a nice little, because, you know, a nice little character progression with the both of them in combination, where it's like, you know, Yul, you know, softens up thanks to Junior's encouragement, even though it's like a little funny little moment where Sanka teases Yul, because like Yul showed him like a picture saying like, I'm gonna live here, and it's like and they, you know, they looking at the picture, and it's like, dude, that's Buckingham Palace. The Queen of England lives there. It's like, what? The Queen of England is like, you pointing at Buckingham Palace, and he just cracking jokes, and then Junior, you know, comes up to him and is like, you know, hey, you know, you know, if people work hard, you know, and they can obtain any goal that they set their eyes on. And he gives back Yul the picture, and just encourage him to never give up his dream. You will make it out of Jamaica, and you'll go whatever you want to go. And that kind of like just like a olive branch to the guy he's kind of picked on earlier in the film, and that was like a nice little moment. And he Yule returns that favor by giving like this boy some courage, and something that his father probably did not give him, some level of confidence and encouragement, especially when it comes to these slightly or not so slightly, but it's Disney-fied. But I just say, like, if it wasn't Disney-fied, it would be obviously very racist. German team, talking about go back to where you came from kind of situation, and then Yule points Junior at the windows like, you know what I see? I see pride. It's like it's like a pride, a man. It's like you're not a proud black man, but you're a proud Jamaican, and you don't like let that kind of stuff roll when somebody talks to you like that. So with that encouragement, Junior gets in that the lead bobsled German guy's face, and of course the guy pushes Junior on the ground. Then Yule steps up and knocks the guy the hell out. And they're at a fucking kind of like a cowboy outback kind of steakhouse kind of place where it's like you got line dancing and everything like that. It's like, dude, they can go wherever the heck they want to if they feel like going to like this kind of place to drink or whatever like that. That's their business. But it's like, read the room. You're like, you're surrounded by a bunch of white people, and you're probably the only three black people there, and they already side-eyeing you throughout the entire Olympics, and without any kind of like encouragement whatsoever. And it's just like, you didn't really have to be there to have to deal with this crap, but they're there, and of course like a fight ensues, trying to defend juniors and their honor, and their pride. Well, of course, lands them in trouble with their team leader. But like I said, I like that moment. But anyway, after some practicing, even with amongst a few other Jamaicans, they as they trying to earn money to get a flight to Canada for the Olympics, they're getting laughed at every office trying to ask for any kind of sponsorship. But thanks to Junior, who sold his own car in order to fund the trip, this really like kind of like starts like a really big bond with these two, because like one of the team members gave up their own car for this trip. After they was doing whatever they can to like scrap and scrounge for money. You've been calling him Rich Boy a couple of times earlier in the film, and it's like you didn't think to ask the guy like, hey, since you're coming from wealth, is there any way you can try to help get his money funded? That would have been like the first thing I would have asked. Even if he said no, it would have been probably a good idea to go ask before you tried to break your backs with like arm wrestling and singing on the street and like doing kissing booths. You didn't really have to do all that. It's kind of like wasting your time when you could have been practicing. But they even like early on, some because like people laughing out of them out of the office, because nobody really, even like some of the Jamaican team, like, because this is bobsled, they normally are in like the runners in like the Olympic category, and not like something that's out of their wheelhouse. So of course they again laughed at, because they don't believe they can like pull it off in like a particular field that they're unfamiliar with. So they're getting laughed at by their own people here and there. But they managed to get the funds they needed, and it's been 3 months, and they've been like practicing their butt off. And so when they head there, you see like a moment with like Irving's little arc where he's like dealing with like his past, because his former teammates, at least 2 of them, are like kind of bitter with him because they cost him medals because of his cheating. But thanks to one of them, he managed to get his team a bobsled, even though it's rickety as hell until they kind of fix it up. But I'm thinking like, dude, like you knew you needed like a bobsled for your bobsled team. You didn't think to try to get the locals at the time to try during while you're practicing, fix up a bobsled for them, because you get some metals together and find like a metal worker to like put it all together for you the whole time. Of course, maybe you have to pay them, but it's just like you're coming at the last minute with like a very important tool in like your competition. But he managed to get this rickety thing, and of course they start off in the in the competition kind of like slow, but just barely making it into the like the actual competition. And then you do this whole course with the whole like bar scene and like what have you. They managed to like just come in at the very last place and just like managed to get underneath 60 under the 60-minute marker kind of thing. I don't know. I think it's 60-minute marker, just like shy of it. But after a few struggles with like the opposing teams and everything like that, I'm about to say John Candy, but Irv's past coming up, bite him in the ass, because now one of the people that really hates him, I think the team captain at the time, is part of the Olympic committee, and despite them qualifying to compete in the main competition, or at least the finals, got them disqualified. And of course, it's a cool moment with John Candy as he's bursting into the committee's office and like gives like an awesome speech. And it's like, just admit it, like you guys like having a problem because there are 4 black guys competing in this competition, and it's making you blush. And it's like I like that one because of course it's like it's pretty typical for like certain business offices probably got no representation at all in the Olympics. They're supposed to represent every country, and you walk in this room and you see, even though it's like some people from Britain and like U.S. and like in Russia and like Germans and Sweden and stuff like that, it's like, but it's just white people, and I don't even think I see any. I think maybe like 1 or 2 women, but it's like lily white community. And it's like John Kennedy just gave him the business, like, just admit it. You just don't want 4 black guys representing their own country. And it's like, this is the Olympics. They have the right to represent their country of origin just like everybody else. And you're not allowing that. It goes against everything the Olympics stands for. And matter of fact, the Winter Olympics is still currently, at the time of this video being recorded, it's currently going on, or at least about to wrap up. And so it's kind of perfect timing, but it's like an awesome speech, and that's probably why Cool Runnings is one of like the best sports movies to this day, because because like this is the fact that like not only is like just because the Olympics is a sport, and it's not like just about basketball or baseball, and like the Olympics is a sport that go across all kind of sports, and who's like the best of their country, and it's like not allowing them to compete because you have a grudge against me. It's just like, not only you're embarrassing the Olympics, you're embarrassing yourself and your respective countries just by not allowing another country to compete because of the color of their skin, or in combination because you got a grudge against one guy that cheated decades ago, and you still holding on to that, and you holding it against them. And you hide up behind the guise of policy, which is bullshit. But that speech, obviously warms them over, and they reinstated to compete in the finals. And of course, you get this awesome scene where, like, of course, everybody's riding behind them. Julius Fowler's there. Everybody's wearing, lots of people wearing, like, shirts representing the Jamaican 1988, bobsled team. As they're going down the track, one of the, well, it's not wheels, but like the sledding blades kind of fell off, and caused them to crash. And it's one of, like, the most infamous crashes, in, like, I guess, in sports, but more specifically in the Olympics in history. And you see, like, the crowd just applauding as these men carried a bobsled over their shoulders and walked to the finish line. And the most memorable scene in movie history in general, and not just in sports. I still remember that as a kid. But realistically, what happened? They didn't carry it all the way, but it didn't hold it over their shoulder either, because it's like it weighs a lot. And the applause, it wasn't like a round of applause from everybody, because during the time, it's still, a fair bit of racism. So the applause was kind of like sporadic here and there. But it was still like, a respectable moment in history, a very important moment in history. So, yeah, I mean, it's like a phenomenal film. And of course, like, they didn't manage to get the gold here, but they took it like an iconic picture, and the end credits mentions how they came back the next Olympic games, and this time with more they were more what's the word? Shoot. They're allowed now as equals, and with a lot more respect in 1992. But yeah, Cool Runnings, man, it's like a phenomenal film. Still holds up to this day. Like I said, I kind of wish they kind of spend more time with, like, establishing certain arcs with people that isn't clearly defined, but it's just very minimal. It doesn't really hurt the movie that much. But yeah, I mean, still a great film. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but it's a nice little throwback too, because it's like, it's supposed to be like 1988, but it kind of like dressed like it was like early 90s. Yeah. So yeah, that was Cool Runnings. Let me know what you guys think of this film. Do you remember this film at all? If you have to go back, it's on Disney Plus. That's where I watched it. So you can want to go watch it, come back, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Or if you've seen it recently, because like the Olympics running on right now, and it got you curious about rewatching that movie, or if you watched it a lot, just let me know how does it hold up for you. So I will see you guys next time. I got at least a couple more Black History Month kind of movies that I want to do for the channel before the month is over. But yeah, I will see you guys next time. Take care.